Greetings everyone, and thanks for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be another episode of my BoogeyMan break time segment. This is something I started doing about a year ago, where I do non-horror video content. Like I said, I only do it every so often. The last time I did one of these was back in January, where I talked about Bad Boys for Life and the Bad Boys franchise. Now that, we're kind of stuck in our houses and during this downtime, I decided that I would do a couple of new segments in this series because I haven't done one in almost 2.5 months. The one that I'm doing today is on a movie that I really loved growing up, and it's a very dark movie, and features one of my favorite songs from Madonna. Again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and Madonna was, it was huge. That's when she was first becoming a huge star, from the True Blue album. I remember my mom having that record as a kid. But this is around the time that her and Sean Penn were married, and one of his passion projects from the 80s was the film At Close Range. And this was a film that came out in mid-1986. I believe it came out in April of 1986. I didn't see it until it was available on VHS tape. But I remember when the Madonna video for Live to Tell premiered on MTV that summer. I think it was after the movie had already pretty much been out of theaters. That's when I started seeing the video a lot, because her career was taking off. This movie was never really a huge hit, but that song was just so amazing. It's always been my favorite Madonna song. Pretty much what At Close Range deals with is it's based on the true story of real-life killer Bruce Johnston from Chester County, Pennsylvania. This was in the 60s and 70s. The plot of the film deals with an absentee father who is reacquainted with his estranged teenage sons, who become intrigued with his romanticized life of crime. The movie stars Sean Penn as Brad Jr., Christopher Walken as Brad Sr., Mary Stuart Masterson as Terry, Crispin Glover as Lucas, Kiefer Sutherland as Tim, Stephen Jeffries as Aggie, Chris Penn as Tommy. The story was written by Elliot Lewitt and Nicholas Chasm, who also did the screenplay, and it was directed by James Foley. So yeah, Close Range is a film that is hard to watch in spots. It's very dark. In fact, originally Robert De Niro was offered the role that Christopher Walken ended up taking. He turned down the role because he said that the role was too dark for him. Another interesting trivia behind this film is there's a scene in this film where Sean Penn confronts Christopher Walken, the Brad Jr. character confronts his dad, and he puts a gun to his head. Now, Chris Walken had been known at the time, anytime he was using a gun, any type of weapon in a scene, he would always check to make sure that it wasn't loaded, and that there was no danger of him getting hurt. Right before the scene started, Sean Penn went and got a different gun. So Chris Walken hadn't checked it, so the scene where the gun is being pressed to his head, his reaction is 100% real. That is the shot that they kept in the film. This film is very good. Christopher Walken is terrifying in this film. I think it's the scariest performance I've ever seen him given, and I've always been a huge fan of the guy. There's just something about the way he plays the part that has always freaked me out, and it's a very intimidating role. Christopher Walken has always been known for being intimidating, but I think he's even more so in this role. I've never been the biggest Sean Penn fan. I like him in certain things. Of course, everybody loves him in Fast Times. But I also loved him in movies like Milk in his later career. I also think his directorial film Into the Wild was an amazing film. Loved him in The Game. I also loved him in Casualties of War, which is the next break time segment I'm going to talk about. That's the next film I'm going to talk about. But this has always been one of my favorite films of his, and I think he's terrific as Brad Jr. You just see him as this lost kid, and he finally feels like he has a little bit of direction and something to look towards, emulating what his father does. The late Chris Penn is all great in this. It was great seeing Chris and Sean, seeing them on screen together. They have terrific chemistry. Also, Kiefer Sutherland's first role. He doesn't have a big part in this, but it was amazing to see him in this. I was also Stephen Jeffries, huge fan of him from Fright Night and Fraternity Vacation and 976 Evil. He has a small part in this as well, as does Crispin Glover. Everybody loves Crispin Glover. He's great in this, just his goofy self. And Mary Stuart Masterson, who was one of my crushes growing up, loved her in like Some Kind of Wonderful, also Fried Green Tomatoes are two films of hers that I absolutely adore. She's great in this as Terry. The romantic relationship between her and Sean Penn is really believable. And yeah, it's just a great film. Like I said, there's some really dark spots in it. It's got a haunting ending. It's definitely one I think people should give a chance to. Easily at close range gets 5 skulls. So yeah, at close range, just one that I thought would be fun to talk about on this channel. It's a film that nobody talks about, and again, one of the things I'm trying to do while we're on this downtime with a lot of the content that I'm doing is talking about films that I don't hear people speak about on YouTube. So yeah, At Close Range, great film, excellent direction, great story, great soundtrack, excellent acting, and yeah, I definitely recommend people checking it out that are curious to see some of the early works of Sean Penn and a fantastic Christopher Walken performance. So yeah, that is going to be it for this episode of BoogeyMan's Break Time, talking about At Close Range. And like I said, my next one will be another Sean Penn film that I've always loved, and is also my favorite film dealing with the Vietnam War, and that is going to be Casualties of War. You guys can expect that one in the next couple of days. Hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. Remember, stay positive. We're all going to get through this, and thank you so much for continuing to support what I do here at BoogeyMan Ben's Horror Zone. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot. Thanks so much for dropping by, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Peace. I want to thank everyone for taking this time to drop by the Horror Zone. It really means a lot to me that people are supporting what I do here. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button down below. I upload videos at least once or twice a week. It would really mean a lot if people would spread the word about this channel. This is a passion of mine. I love the horror genre, and I'm really happy to share my love of it with all of you. So thanks so much again for checking it out. I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy.